Hi everyone, it's James here with Antelope Audio, and I'm very happy to introduce you to the new Antelope Audio Zen Q Synergy Core audio interface. A bus-powered 14-in, 10-out Thunderbolt 3 audio interface for PC and Mac. If Zen Go is the baby of the Synergy Core range, then Zen Q is its bigger brother, with more inputs, more outputs, and more options for the recording engineer or artist who needs greater connectivity and power but still needs to be mobile and keep their recording and mixing life simple and uncluttered. As you can see, Zen Q does hold more than a passing resemblance to the Zen Go. On top, we still have our large backlit LED screen giving us clear feedback of our input and output signals. We have gain, headphone/monitor and the Antelope buttons, as well as the large detented master volume and control encoder. On the front, along with two independently configurable headphone outputs, we now have two instrument or line level inputs over 1/4-inch TRS jack. However, it's around the back where Zen Q really differs from its smaller sibling. We still have a pair of Antelope Audio Discrete style console grade mic pre's with their XLR jack combo socket. We have a pair of main monitor outs and a second pair of line outputs, both on balanced TRS jacks. The line outputs can be configured for a second set of monitors, or can be arranged for use as the outputs for a real-time hardware insert, or a third set of headphones via a headphone amplifier. You could use this extra set of outputs to drive real-time hardware effects like reverb and delay, then run the returns from these units back into the line level inputs when mixing. Or you could use the extra outputs to feed hardware samplers to create crazy effects during recording sessions or even live performance. Next, we have an SPDIF pair of digital I/O over RCA phono connections and an ADAT optical input to allow us to connect an external ADAT equipped mic pre, offering up to 8 more channels of input via a single light pipe connection. Always remember to avoid any unwanted clicks or pops when using the ADAT input. The Zen Q will need to be clocked to the incoming ADAT optical device. This is not the case with SPDIF, as long as both SPDIF in and out are connected to the external device, and in turn, this is set to be clocked externally from the Zen Q. We then find the Thunderbolt 3 socket for connection to your PC or Mac. It's worth stressing that this is for connection to a qualified Thunderbolt 3 port only, and is not to be used with a Thunderbolt 2 or 1 adapter. Older Thunderbolt ports will not be able to provide the Zen Q with the required power levels and should not be used. Zen Q is a bus-powered only interface, and there are no sockets for an external power supply. Finally, for when you're a little more stationary, there's also a Kensington lock port. Zen Q shares the same style of control panel as the Discrete range of interfaces and the Zen Go. Along the top, we have our 4 configurable inputs with a large gain control and, where appropriate, stereo link functions, 48-volt phantom power, phase invert, and the ability to access and control the range of Antelope Audio modeling microphones. We then have the routing and assignment section where we can choose to view the control panel mixer in 8 or 16 channel view. We then have access to the Antelope Audio Synergy Core AFX. Zen Q comes with 37 processors to get you up and running, including preamps, equalizers, compressors, limiters, guitar amp and cab emulations, reverb, special effects, and the all-important guitar tuner. We also have over 50 additional effects from the Antelope Audio software store. Everything from the usual fleet of compressors and EQs to rare and vintage units, many of which are unique to the Synergy Core platform. We then have the mixer section to control pan and level of incoming and outgoing signals, along with solos and mutes. These are configurable for each set of outputs. Headphone 1 always follows your main monitors, but Headphone 2 and the stereo lineouts can be configured separately. Finally, along the bottom we have the master level controls for the monitors, headphone and line level outputs. So as I've just shown you, the Zen Q features 2 configurable mic pre's and 2 configurable TRS jack inputs. So that's 4 simultaneous analog input sources. So it could be that you're at a rehearsal and you want to run 3 guitars and a bass through your Zen Q. Well, you can, And it can all be done with Antelope Audio amp and cab modelling. Just set the 4 inputs to their high impedance, high Z or high Z, depending on where you're from, setting. Then assign the amp, cab and effects of your choice. You can then configure the outputs for the headphones, monitors or a combination of both. And of course, each input can be recorded either with or without the effects committed, or even both at the same time. The choice is yours. So the drummer turns up for the session with a larger kit than perhaps you were expecting. No problem. ZenQ can handle up to 14 inputs at the same time. So in this case, we are going to attach our external ADAT equipped mic pre, giving us up to 8 inputs at sample rates up to 48 kHz. We can then use the 2 built-in mic pre's to give us 10 channels of recording, and we can use a stereo pair of mic pre's input at line level via the TRS jacks on the front set to line input. So that's 12 channels of microphones coming into our DAW via the ZenQ. If we had a mic pre with digital SP diff outs, we could also use this at the same time to use all 14 inputs to ZenQ. We also have the loopback input. Loopback is a smart way to route the audio from your computer directly into your interface and on into your DAW. So in this case, if we were playing along to a backing track from a media player, I could use the loopback inputs to route into my DAW and monitor at next to zero latency through the ZenQ. You might not think it possible, but believe it or not, you can actually record a full band session using the ZenQ, a bunch of mics, and a couple of other pieces of well-selected kit. In this setup, I again have my 8-channel ADAT equipped mic pre. In this case, I'm using the Audient ASP880 plugged into the ADAT input on the ZenQ. I'm using 7 mics on the drums, that's kick, snare, hat, rack tom, floor tom, and a stereo mic or a pair of overheads. I have a keyboard plugged into the 8th channel on the ASP880 via a DI box. Then I have 2 vocal mics plugged into the 2 mic pre's of the ZenQ, and I have guitar and bass plugged DI into the front of the ZenQ, again with amp, cab and effects modelling enabled. Not bad for a unit that's not much bigger than a VHS cassette, if of course you remember what one of those looks like. The power of ZenQ is not just for tracking. You can put the FPGA and DSP processing of ZenQ to work on your mix, either patching into your AFX using hardware inserts from your DAW, or with the addition of the Antelope Audio AFX to DAW DAW bridge plugin. Take control of your AFX processing from within your DAW and add up to 8 Antelope Audio AFX processors in one insert slot of your DAW. We have dedicated tutorials on these subjects on the Antelope Audio website and YouTube channel. I really hope you've enjoyed this quick look at the new Antelope Audio ZenQ bus-powered Thunderbolt 3 audio interface for Windows and Mac OS. For more information on the ZenQ and the full range of Antelope Audio hardware and software, check out antelopeaudio.com. But for now, my name's James Ivy and I'll see you again very soon.